should have sat down. I'm gonna ask them for asking us to keep on my computer myself. Thank you. Who is Roger's? Is someone here named Roger? Okay, then they will not be, no. Roger, you cannot enter. In the living room. No, that should be good. I'm just gonna show you real quick how to switch between it. You could also do it on there, but you can like just swipe up like this and then hit, yep, and then just swipe back. Okay. You got this. I don't know again. It's up to you.
Yeah. So it's like
I don't have it out either. Thank you. No, they think you're a master chef. I don't think Gordon Ramsay is all right, please pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Council President Rex Heidi.
Here.
Council Vice President Mike Wolfke.
Here.
Council Member Joe Seeker. Council Member Ed Loud.
Here.
Council Member Anna Pete. Here.
All right, consent agenda, I'm assuming everybody's already reviewed the claims register, and the council minutes for June 18th, the Parks Board meeting. Thank you, Erica, again, for putting that budget versus actual. It looks like we either ahead or right on the compass for the year.
Yes, we're doing all right.
Yeah, it looks really good. Thank you very much for that. Does anybody have any questions about any of those items? I'll take a motion.
Make motion, send.
Sorry. Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, citizen comments, 5 minutes. Anybody wants to talk to us tonight? Come on, David, count. Nothing?
Nothing. Just happy to be here on the park board.
Oh, you better have some here. You're gonna be afraid to eat.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You know anything from you, sir? Anybody else? All right, citizens comments. Staff reports, chief.
Got some new equipment that I wanted to show you guys. It's definitely a safer version for when we have vehicles that are playing or that may be a threat to the general community. Instead of the traditional stop sticks that you've seen officers throw out, this is something that we've received. It came from the Netherlands. We will be the first department in the state to have this and utilize this. We just received it. The guy came in yesterday and actually did a demo. Michael kind of explained
Yeah, so, Chief was, pretty awesome with, oh, wait a second, with, getting this and finding this. And we believe that this device right here is going to, make it really safe for our officers. Just that way they're not throwing sticks roadside. This device allows the officers to get behind a tree and go up to 100 yards away. So it's fantastic in that aspect. It's really dummy proof. So they made it for cops. But you basically flip on switch on the back side. That sounds just air compressor, putting air into the tank. Single button push will allow the stop sticks to essentially go out.
People go over it, but. Do that with the fact that. I will let you, have confirmed it. You know. Right.
Yeah, we're pretty excited to have it. We didn't want to go too crazy and buy a bunch of them, but we wanted to see it, get it in person and see how it actually works.
And I assume that's probably an issue that we don't need here.
You know, it's whoever wants to get trained on it, as long as they know how to use it, they can use it whenever they want. Just one person can grab it, take it. Cause these, they happen anytime during the day. Might have somebody that, have an elderly person that's driving that, dementia kicks in and you need to go stop that car before they hurt themselves or other people. And then that's a good little deployment that we have. The box itself is what, about 50 pounds?
Yeah. You guys got probably just take through that skill. Stop sticks. So this is obviously geared towards officer safety. There's a lot of video. Trying to do like stop sticks with vehicles and stuff. It's gonna make that a lot.
And I'm assuming it's completely reusable.
Yeah, we have reasonable spikes. We can actually get spikes from the tires, pretty quick on. If you use those a few times, we also put some spikes. Maintenance on that is pretty simple.
I mean, you gotta replace the whole cylinder if they hit it, I mean, on stuff.
Right, yeah.
So, can like an officer can one officer that's on call at night have it so that like.
It'll be left here, so it'll be on station. So whoever's working, they can just come grab it, they'll have it in their car and be ready to go. Yeah.
I was just trying to think of a way to make it even quicker, but.
Well, we'd like to get another unit. We wanted to get it here and see how, to make sure that it was definitely, because it came from a whole other country. So we wanted to make sure this is gonna be something beneficial and it's actually gonna work. But after getting it here and seeing how it's actually operated, we were all impressed, especially with how quick as it gets out. And then Michael went across all the way back to the back building to see the distance and how it would operate, and it's perfect. So.
With that, if we get a second unit, we can program it to one remote, so you can hit both of them at the same time, do it across Washington Street, which still have the same big lanes. Have two of them at the same time, two of them come back, and lower the risk to police vehicles, for sure.
Lower the risk for, officers and civilians, all that,
Cut down on chases too.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you got our operating progress and the suspect vehicle down in the parking lot, you know, that's the vehicle, you can take it, put it, near it, and as soon as they get out, you're gonna make that apprehension, they decide to take off, hit the button, and it won't be a long pursuit.
Said 100 yards, huh?
Yeah, but, it does have the capability of doing that, but, and you wanna be able to.
40, 30 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what it's gonna be like when you're out in a different area, and frequencies might affect that. We're not gonna know. We'll have to see trial and error, but at least we don't have a guy throwing sticks and being out there exposed, so. A lot safer for our guys, for sure.
Thank you. Here,
Thank you.
Chief, anything else?
No, if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer.
Mr. Lewis? Okay, thank you.
All right, perfect. Makes it simple for all of us, right?
You're good.
So,
We have obviously a lot going on. We haven't met for a while, so it's long report. I won't read all of it, just about 3/4. But really the main things going on, a lot of it's on your agenda tonight, but one of the things that's not on there, the Community Development Corporation, on the acreage we paired with them. They were working with a developer interested in doing mixed use entertainment district on their property. The CDC is asking the developer.
Yes.
Skin in the game, so they'd be looking right now for that MOU, put some financial stake and due diligence period into that property. The developer seems very open to that, that's proposed. Basically MOU terms, the CDC's reviewing that tomorrow, but.
Oh, there's one right back there.
So, that's probably like the biggest thing for the future of the town that's on the record.
Do I have any questions?
If I put
Old business. Police sergeant presentation. And that's gonna be Captain Crook and Sergeant,
Did you forget my name already, sir?
no, I just wanted to make sure I had the right representative, they're all three of you presented.
No, they're gonna do it. You want to talk about it.
Okay. Just when the wings gotta get, off.
I guess.
Good afternoon, Shar. No. We're gonna kind of go over the police staffing. I know, Chief came up with the idea, many months ago. We understand that our officers are fatigued and understaffed. We've all been feeling it, but, it's, our purpose here is to kind of give you a visualization of what that looks like, and then go over the numbers and show you how we got this data. So we have 16 full-time officers. 2 of them are in the administrative role. We have the detective in the investigative role, and then the rest is patrol. Me, I'm patrol captain in charge of basically all 8 patrol officers. And then we have two reserves as well. So just a little background for those that don't know, we operate 4 12-hour shifts, A days and B days, A nights and B nights, 6 P to 6 A, 6 A to 6 P. 3 officers on each shift, and with one of those being a shift supervisor. And now we're gonna kind of talk about the manpower mapping. So back in early 2024, Mark and I kind of developed the idea of how we're gonna go about getting these, showing when we're understaffed and whatnot. And we basically went through, our schedule and day by day, and saw who was on, who was off, and the reason why they were on and off, and then just put all that down.
The big note about this is from 2019 to 2024, we saw 10 officers come and go. Not all those were from other agencies. 5 of those went to other agencies, 2 were retirees, 2 were resignations, and 1 was unable to complete the academy. So just in that span of time, we have seen some turnover, which we have to fight with. Obviously, it affects our staffing, affects us. Bringing on an officer can be anywhere from 3 to 6 months to find somebody good. That's hopeful. That's if we have somebody that we've kind of already loaded. But again, that's going to be a big part of where we're at right now. When we began in 2024, we had 1 position employed. So again, that brings us to not being fully staffed, at least on 1 shift. There are other reasons for shifts not being fully staffed. There's officers taking vacation, sick, family emergencies. You guys can read them, we'll go through all that, but it's not just having a position void, it's also all these other things that we have to worry about that create understaffing.
So everything in the red is, when we were completely understaffed for 2024.
We operate with 3 officers, we try to have 3 officers in every shift. That's our minimum is 2. The red days are showing 2 officers.
Green is obviously 3, and then the yellow is, it could be understaffed or fully staffed, but the yellow The other was the other day when we had training, so we're had a field training officer in the car with a rookie, and it takes away from a full another position.
Trainees count as half an officer, basically. They're not fully out on their own. They have to have somebody looking after them. Our FTOs have an extra responsibility, not for just themselves, but they have to watch for a new officer and make sure that they're operating properly. So that's what those yields represent. This is the graph for the 2024 year. Obviously, it's just that calendar, put in a pie chart for you. So it just shows that 81% of 2024, we operated under staff. 13% of the year, we had an actual full staff day. And 6% I just had training. So that was towards the end of the year when we were able to hire a couple.
Yeah, and so this is the breakdown. This is an example of January. We have all the months.
This is a good example because it just shows that there's officer vacation day, officer bonus day, and this highlighted portion was when we had a shooting incident, so that requires officers to come out on OT, that requires investigator to come out. Obviously, we're paying more for that. People come out, again, there's officers vacation day, one reserve officer working, even with reserve officer, we're still operating with a voided position. This is our current 2025 map. It's getting better. We're able to get there. It's still, again, we just still have the same problems with officers having days off, after being sick, family vacations, things like that, that we want our officers to be able to take that time if they need to. But it does leave us in a position where we're not operating at full staff. Again, 2024 to 2025, just showing that difference, how we're kind of getting through the year. Again, we're improving, and we like to see that, but we also want to want to continue that, of course. So the significance of 2 officers working versus 3 officers working, obviously it's a safety issue. We want 2 officers on every single run. 1 run in town depletes our entire shift. We have another run, 2 more runs come out. Those citizens are waiting for our response. We can sometimes get assistance from IPD. Unfortunately, they're also quite understaffed. I'm sure they're not telling us the right numbers, but they're definitely heavily understaffed. Hancock County Sheriff's Office will come over and help. They only run 4 to 5 deputies at night. So, and a lot of them are on the other side of the county or in Greenfield. It takes them a while to get out to us. We don't want our citizens having to wait, but unfortunately, that's just the realization of what we have to do right now. Transportation is another big one there.
Yeah, just also, you know, there's no such thing as a one officer call. Back years ago, it was very common one officer would go respond to this accident. And as the years gone by, Lieutenant Aaron Allen, Southport PD, he was responding to an accident, ended up getting shot by one of the drivers. So pretty much all of our guys are, 2 of our guys are going to one call at all times, which leaves 1 if there's that 3rd officer, or none if we're operating at a minimum of 2. But then you get into wagons went away, Marion County Sheriff's Office, again, they still do some transports for us for high felony level arrests, and just kind of really depends. But back in 2022, towards the end of the year, they stopped that for us. So all of our thefts are minor, and just our outright arrests, we are having to self-transport. Those numbers in 2022 are low just because we started tracking that towards the end of 2022. And that 20 hours and 32 minutes is drive time to and from, but also waiting at the facility. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say there was probably about 16 transports for 2022. Then as you see in 2023, 2024, our numbers go up because we have the full year that we track. And so, I mean, that's 87 hours and 40 minutes that we are out of this town. And
Transportation
for transport. Because, you know, if one of our guys goes, we sometimes have to have another car follow. There's only 2 officers working, you know, for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Nobody's in this town. And our citizens deserve somebody in here.
And that's not even sitting at the hospital for anybody that we've had to go down there.
Strictly transport.
That's strictly to
That's
Marion
just
County.
transport to the jails. And yeah, Chief makes a great point. Hospital stays, we have to take somebody for a checkout. The hospital is gonna do their full checkout. That's 2, 3, 4 hours that we have to sit there and wait till they release, and then we can transport them.
We've mitigated some of that with, if it's not a violent offense, we can basically unarrest them and then follow work later, just to make sure that we can come back in town and not spending 16 hours at a hospital while they get checked out. That can't happen every time. Sometimes there's domestics where we have to do the arrest for the safety of our victims, so that does require us to sit there.
So if they get admitted, then does the sheriff office take over in the hospital?
They will not. They
No,
require us to sit there.
because I know lots of times there's an officer in like the room with.
Yes, the sheriff's office,
He began staffing an officers down there.
Yeah.
So
At
that they,
Eskenazi.
Eskenazi, the county hospital.
to watch their prisoners so that their folks can get back out on the road.
Marion
They're
County
not
pulled
gonna
out
watch
of
us.
Eskenazi.
So if someone's in there for, say it's a homicide suspect where they need to be arrested, so we're gonna have to sit them. Say they're in the hospital for 6 days, that's 6 days, we gotta have somebody down.
That's either we take somebody from shift or we pay overtime. So either way,
Yeah, so that would be at any hospital. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if somebody's under arrest, typically they're gonna go to the county hospital. But, you know, if it's a traumatic injury and they have to go to the closest one, then that's just what has to
More,
happen.
more common one, DUI, someone, if their blood alcohol level is above 2.7 or 2.27, 2.5, something like that. Say it's a 0.30, which is really high. We have to wait with them at the hospital until that level is down where the jail will allow them. So that could take 2, 3 days, 4 hours.
If there's someone in the hospital for a number of days, we have to stay there, correct? Did I understand that correct?
If it's a crime that we must arrest for, yes. If it's something that we can do later, we will try to do.
If it's someone we have to arrest, then is there a third party vendor that could be hired to come in and watch that individual and put our officer back on the street, or is nobody doing that yet?
Nobody's doing that. There's not a vendor to hire.
Yeah, they have to be a law enforcement officer, honestly, to sit there to
I
have
understand,
power.
but I thought maybe some company may have saw an opportunity to.
I think we should write that down. We can start.
Yeah.
Thank you
That
for
was
the
the
idea.
thought, transportation for the wagons, they do. We were thinking that too. Nobody's ever
Yeah.
started that either.
With that, of course, again, budgets is part of everything we do. We're paying overtime for shift boys, we're paying overtime for officers to sit places if we need them to. Just adds to our overtime budget, things that we can try to mitigate further. This is our overtime usage for 2024. This is a lot of work that Captain Crook does. Again, this is just a nice, pretty pie chart, but 51% of our overtime budget goes to manpower, either for a void or for sitting somewhere or something kind of issue like that. You know, we have investigations that happen, that's something different. Training is different, late runs are different, if officers have to stay late for a run, that's a totally different line. This manpower line is strictly for filling a void.
And with that, so for the last, I want to say 2, 3 years, we've been operating on the same overtime budget level, 54,000. Obviously, we're grateful of the pay raises that we get every year, but that goes into cutting down on the amount of hours that are in that 54,000. So we're slowly getting to the point where we're less and less hours on our overtime as well. So.
Part of how we kind of figure out things as well as what our officers are doing is statistics, obviously. Prior to last year, we were having civilian employees basically go in daily to our computer systems, our automated dispatch system, and just physically write out what we were doing. We were able to finally, after some fighting, get access to our CAD history through the PSC, which is the third party or it's third agency run by the county/city. So we have to ask for these every quarter is how we're getting them now. When they send it to us, it's in a very raw format. It's not easily read. It takes us about a day to get it to a table, an Excel table and spreadsheet that we can read and use. So it does require some work. However, it's really great information. It shows us all the different run types that we can be called out on. Every officer that goes to where locations are, dates and times, it gets down to the very nitty gritty. It makes it much more accurate for us on stats and what we're doing and what we can show we're doing. You know, we have all these things available that we could show. They're really big files. There's a lot of information there. I don't really pull it up because it's just gonna kind of overload it, but it's something that if you want to see, I can certainly share with you guys. But part of that is that we're able to show proactivity and reactivity. Obviously, we react to calls for service, somebody calls 911, that's us reacting to something. Proactivity is us of doing traffic stops, stopping people that look suspicious, handling our business checks, things like that. And one thing about most of our officers here, I'm gonna say every single officer, we're very prideful in checking our businesses, especially at night. We're very good night watchmen. We want to make sure that we're not missing anything. Our guys are really good about citing out on that. 2022, obviously, we had quite a bit of proactivity, moderate amount of runs. 2023 was the spike for the county, city, state, and actually the nation for violence. So we spiked in some calls as well. And obviously, you can kind of see that proactivity, that blue line goes down, that our officers are spending more time responding to calls, handling things like that, not able to get out and do traffic stops, not able to get out and talk to the community as much as we'd like them to do. It's sort of leveled off. It's still difficult because we're still getting more calls for service than we had previously. Obviously, why we're here, more officers is on the streets is going to be a benefit to all of us. It allows increased officer safety, which I hope that we've been able to explain. More than 2 officers, more than 3 officers, we can get more runs handled. Our officers can be safer, more trained personnel, our citizens can be safer, right? Same thing with that. Expected town growth, I know we all know about that. Coming with that, we want to be with the curve. We don't want to be fighting against it, having to shovel our guys. We don't want our guys to become more fatigued. We want them to be able to take their vacations and feel like they can do what they want to do with their families and still come in and work and be proactive and be able to do what they're supposed to do. So,
Yeah, so the mitigating fatigue is a huge part of this. Because if you got officers that are fatigued and they're coming in, they're not gonna be making great decisions, lead to,
Mental health issues.
mental health issues, they could also lead to litigation issues. I mean, and we're gonna try to avoid that with this.
again, this is just our mission statement. This is what we make sure our officers see every day. But we try to continue of just highest possible standards we can have. We want to try to be as close to our community as possible. Our officers do an amazing job talking with our communities. We're trained to take our time on these runs, try to get down to the root causes of the problems. We're lucky that not every day is run to run for us. We can take some time and try to make sure we're meeting some mental health problems of our community or trying to figure out a civil issue if we need to. And again, that's what our citizens expect from us. They're become used to that kind of thing. Other places, other cities may not get that, especially bigger places where they do have a lot more calls and they have to go to and from. They don't know their officers as well as people here know our officers. We have our regulars, we have our people that know us, that see us in the gas stations and want to talk to us for 25 minutes. Our officers are more than accommodating on a lot of that. So I just want to kind of hit that home that we really train for that. That's part of our curriculum. More officers, again, just hopefully make our citizens happier with that. So we'll open to questions if you guys have any.
Yeah, and piggybacking onto that, by having that personal relationship with our community, we are able to resolve issues so they are recurring threats. So that helps a lot for us.
So if someone is arrested in Hancock County and they go to a hospital in Greenfield, is it the same that you guys have to stay there?
Yes, it's the same process. Sheriff's office isn't in that hospital. They are beginning their own police department, I believe, and having some security. I don't believe that will change anything. I don't think the police department there will take responsibility for a prisoner. That's something that's still kind of infancy, but it's the same thing with community. They have their own police department and they don't want to take responsibility for our prisoner either, so.
But Eskenazi will charge us and has charged us for blood draws, so.
Yeah.
I got our first bill. I think this is the first time that we've really shown you guys actually got to see a snapshot of what we deal with and how we kind of operated over the years. I mean, it's been different, obviously, especially, 15 years ago, but like what Deuce was saying, 15 years ago, I remember being an only officer on the road by myself and being honest and doing everything, and it definitely has changed.
Thank you, guys.
We encourage you, if you'd like to,
All right, finish the question.
Okay, go for it.
if you'd like to, do it right along.
I'll just leave it when it's
Wide open, let us know.
how many hours required in reserves? Is it 20 or 24?
32 to have a takeover car.
Is that what the 2 of them that you have do?
Correct.
Okay. Because at the end of the day, what you're requesting is 4,160 more coverage hours, right? 2 more spots.
Yeah.
How, I know you set that baseline at 2 officers as being below staffing, is that just officers and kind of supervisor in that? Or is that 2 officers and the supervisor?
Also supervisor.
Okay. How many days, and I don't care if you 24 or 25, and multiply it out, have you been below the 3 officer staffing? Just kind of those in?
We can go back.
Back it up, and what we didn't include is how many times admin has been out covering shifts either, so.
That's true. I mean, 81%, I'd have to go to the actual file and give you a real number, but
So yeah, that's okay. I mean, we could take 81% of the first 6 months, which would be 1,040 hours, so roughly 80% is somewhere around 800, about 832 hours short, right?
I believe, sir, I'm not a math whiz.
That's impressive.
So on the year, you're looking at almost 1 officer short just off of vacation time, correct? We're close to that 2,080 hours. You're on 1,700 hours, just on short. So how much of your overtime budget have you used so far this year?
I'd say it's getting close to about 75%.
Okay, so you're way ahead on that number compared to, that's 54,000?
Correct.
Average officer, just hour wise alone, at time and a half is gonna make, when your department, I'm assuming around $50 an hour.
Well, a little less.
45 to 50. So if you're 74% or 75%. Let's see here. We've got 4,000, 75%, it's about 38,000. So take that out, at 50. There's another 1,700 hours so far you can use right there. And the only thing I'm even talking about is backfill per shift. Looking at your graphic, only half of that is for backfill per shift, correct? The rest of it was court time, was special events, babysitting prisoners, those kind of things.
Correct.
So we do have this is a year, this is for last year, but this is year to date for overtime usage. So this is the categories and time, the pay periods and what overtime was used. So I mean, the full hours were there. It's a lot of numbers, a lot of going through it.
But this is bigger than just trying to cover the shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
This is all the other ancillary details.
Yes.
100%.
With it.
yes.
What's that, and then your. Is your sick time and your vacation time, is that in one bank like PTO, or is that 2 separate banks?
Separate.
How many hours of that are we looking at covering on a year's basis? Cumberland is kind of unique, you have a lot of officers with several years on, you have a lot of officers with a few years on, there's not really that many in the middle.
Right.
And I believe if you're gonna get close to maxed out time, you have 160 or 200 on vacation.
I think it's 180.
Max is out at 240.
240 a year. How many officers do you have in that category?
I think they're, 3.
That's 720 hours right there, that's 130 officer, almost right there.
Mhm.
So far, just my rough math, I'm coming up with around 3,300 hours, and you got to cover already.
Right.
So here's my next question then, what is your plan, on how you're gonna utilize these 2 officers, obviously on a 12-hour shift? You have the A, B, C, and D shift, correct? You have 4 shifts. 2 officers obviously will be the max you can give tonight, you can't go above that. What's your plan to utilize that and work better cover the staff shortages they have?
So, right now, we're still talking about that, but, we're thinking like a task shift, midnight to, or noon to midnight. Kind of shift that way. The day shift and the night shift will at least have a 4th officer
During peak hour.
during peak hour.
And
And
that's all-
that would reduce late runs,
Yeah,
paying out late run overtimes, all that kind of stuff.
And in order to reduce the overtime budget, when those officers are hired, they're kind of the new kids on the totem pole, is the terms you can use, we'll go that.
Like,
Yeah, thank you, we're being recorded, so, I assume that flexibility is going to be stressed, because I assume diminishing, cutting back on the overtime per shift bill, the flexibility will have to be
they
there.
will have to have a swing shift, they're gonna have to be able to.
Move up and down if they need to.
Yes. That's gonna be part of it.
And what this doesn't even measure, and I was talking to fellow counselors, which when I'm suicide runs officers, I can't begin to tell you the number of officers I can counsel that have been divorced. Kid issues, and they bring this stuff to work.
Correct.
Stops.
Yeah.
Trust me, I understand. Answers my question. Doesn't matter what kind I did.
Literally.
Literally. Know my background.
It's a problem.
Yeah, and the current state of what every other agency is doing and the resources we have that they pull away for their, because of their resources. It's caused strain on all of us, and the other smaller agencies are feeling that as well. So we've done what we can to survive, I guess, as best we could, but here we are.
Does any of my fellow council members have any additional questions they'd like to ask?
I don't know.
I don't.
And Mr. Woods, anything you want to add?
You wanna move into consideration?
Yes.
You guys have a memo in your packet from me. A lot of it's redundancy with the presentation, and these guys have done a great job. I spent several hours with them. They could really kind of take you through lots of data on that. We've kind of broken out in that memo, the cost of an officer, from base salary, all the way through benefits, gas, fuel, leases, all that comes out to about $134,235. The police, one of the things that they did talk about is prioritizing officers, officer safety. They did restructure, fortunately had to lay off their civilian staff to build capacity. Those two layoffs brings up $161,743.60 roughly. So that covers your first officer with a little bit of buffer. This year, our first 6 months, our general fund revenues just around 425,000 over projected. Most of that comes through supplemental income tax. So it's not so much on the property tax side, it's our other funds there. That more than covers. And then you guys, I do have the note in there, current financial position. You guys are 4.2 times higher than the government finance association recommends, and about 2.25 times higher than Stone Municipal's conservative recommendation on fund balance.
So the long and short is, this should be sustained.
This should be sustained. So, and or you guys have your taxpayers now, your constituents that are paying these rates and things today. So there's a level of service we want to provide. And from my perspective, looking more at HR and recommend that's kind of your background too. It does create issues when you have shortages. Your supervisors are frustrated because they don't want to give people their time off, and your officers are frustrated because they feel like they can't take their time off. This is a step towards that. We, as you even did the math, we have greater deficiencies than 2 officers can fill, so. And it's economic development, quality of life, public safety is a building block to that. People want to feel safe in their community, they want to see their officers in their community. So my recommendation, you guys consider allowing chief and department to proceed with hiring 2 additional officers this year. Greg, I think even with authorizing these positions, it's still limited pool out there, so it'll take some time and work to find good officers.
Any further discussion or questions from the council? Go ahead, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, allow chief to hire, 2 new additional officers.
I have a motion and a second, any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you so much. Thank you. I also want to thank Mark and Michael. That was a lot of work that they did to put this together.
Yeah.
All right, consideration of the road impact fee contract. Mrs. Olson.
Yes, we brought this to you guys for last meeting, and there were some concerns about some road segments that were in within Marion County. These segments, they're not involved in the analysis, it's the intersections that will be included in the analysis. It is my recommendation that you consider approving this agreement in the amount of $72,000.
So I understand that it will be the intersections on Marion County, but I guess that would maybe give us some leeway to have Indianapolis make changes. I mean, we probably can't make changes.
It's more from a data point standpoint as we grow, looking at the intersections that are impacted by those developments as it goes on. That's why you don't see the roadways included, because those wouldn't be studied for impact and things because they're built out, but we want to have limits to our study to see that actual increased traffic volume. We want to be sure as we renew this rate for 5 years that it's fair and equitable to developers and the builders, and we have good sound engineering. I covered in my memo to A&F Engineering's tried and true. They've been tested with the legislature and tested in the courts, and they've come out successfully in all those cases.
Council, now, any other questions on this contract before it will be,
Yeah, it's open after the show.
The legend's a little bit confusing on there. Right, just kind of zoomed in cut, so. I did review it, and we were a little bit unprepared last meeting. Caitlin, I think was thrilled with Christine and I, because we thought it was incorrect and it was in fact correct, but purple are excluded roads. They're included on the map as excluded to clearly define limits. So it's built on a GIS system, basically how they input a screenshot. So there was several work sessions with A&F and 3 or 4 versions of the study. A lot of this would be for future development and set us up and get a lot of the initial legwork done. As you guys know, the study takes about a year to do, similar, a little bit more intense than the park impact fee. And then if you guys adopt it into that period after doing that work, it takes 6 months to take effect. So some of that is trying to get it in place so that we're making sure existing infrastructure and roadway conditions are improved as they go along.
Councils, I'm assuming it's the view day.
maybe one yes and one like.
No, I know they reviewed it. You and Christine did review it.
Well, this company, when they invoice us, can they please say they completed phase A, B, C, D, instead of just giving us a big invoice for a bunch of money? Is there any way to track them and see that they're actually doing?
Yeah, we can have them detail their invoicing. That's no problem. And a lot of times with studies on this, sometimes they're pay as you go, sometimes they're phase based, sometimes it's paid in a contract, but staff normally has a really good pulse on what's going on because they can't do it independently. They have to work with staff to get the data and details through our house. So, we'll ask for detailed invoicing if you guys can select what's going on.
I don't basically have a problem with this as long as we are getting
Right.
and know what we're getting.
Yeah. So it's fairly common. They've done a lot of the other ones in Hancock County, the majority of them throughout central Indiana. They were kind of one of the first to perfect the craft of it. So and these kind of contracts, it's not like a big, like just this is how much we charge for it. It's based on how many roads and intersections they're studying. So the more you study, the more study areas you select, the more your contract price goes up, the less you're studying, the less you're paying. So you're looking at kind of your growth areas. You can't go beyond kind of your planning area limits, things like that. So you are pigeonholed to a certain area, but you want to kind of get that informed. So
There's no additional discussion, this is an action item, rural business.
I'll motion to approve the third contract as presented.
Is there a cap on the fee in there?
right.
that was. And on a lump sum basis.
They told that, did they total that up?
I did, it was 72,500.
Yeah, 75.
Yes.
I mean, average 75. You understand?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, any additional discussion? All those in favor of the contract, the capital 72.5, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? New business, consideration of sidewalk repairs, Mr. Rick.
Council has a memo of their packet from me on the ADA sidewalk repairs, agreement with CCNT. We do this every year, to make progress towards our ADA transition plan, American with Disabilities Act. The past several years, we've done a mix of diamond grinding to get rid of stub toes. And, we've done some panel replacement. This is 100% panel replacement because there's not that much, diamond grinding we can do in town right now. Some more panels that need replaced. This quote is for $59,600. Recommend you guys consider us entering that agreement, but council would like me to have you guys consider that pending. I can verify with that rep who's on vacation that there are 3 quotes. Every year we do get 3 quotes from 3 vendors. So my assumption is that it was done, but I don't want you guys to do that. Was it not done? So I'm asking you guys to consider giving me the authority to exit agreement as long as there are 3 quotes in place.
59,600, is that correct?
That's correct, 59,600, and this is, we budgeted about 60,000 for sidewalk repairs.
Another one this year.
Didn't have the worst conditions,
Huh.
based off the rating system.
I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, allow Ben to make the decision on, the work that needs to be done on the sidewalks. With the half of he gets the other bids.
3 contracts total, then.
Focus.
I'll second that. And not to exceed $59,600, correct? Correct. I have a motion and a second, any additional discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Okay,
I'll be next to it too.
yeah, I was waiting. Patiently wait, we're still patiently waiting.
Your next item is purchase of light poles for the streetscape. Vice President Wolski and I met before the last council meeting, talking through different issues and things in town. He was wanting us to build more of a surplus on the light poles that we have for the streetscape. He suggested 2 or 3. I told him we've done that in the past, and sometimes we go through that quickly. So I recommended 5. This quote is for 5 poles, not to exceed $41,593.75. We anticipate most of that money on stock light poles to be recouped through people's insurance that hit the poles, which is the #1 cause of it. We're often able to recoup or some of that act of God and things like that. We anticipate using our insurance, but we do have a deductible there. So there's upfront costs, but we anticipate typically use our insurance claims in the future. So it's my recommendation that you guys consider allowing us to purchase these not to exceed $41,583.75. Yeah.
It includes the light too.
It's the full pole and fixture, everything, so
That's my.
it's everything but installation.
Do any of these need to be implemented this time, or at least all 5 will need storage for right now?
I think the ones that need put in place right now are already ordered.
Okay.
So these would all be stored. And the vendor that we would use would store them on site so that they could react and install when it hits.
And we're calling this the Wolski replacement plan?
Yes, definitely.
The old poles will we be saving them on property to maybe have somebody come quote us to make repairs if they're repairable, or are we?
We do, on the off chance that they are repairable, which is pretty rare, based off the material. Normally the part that we can save typically is the shepherd's kind of correct portion or the LED portion itself. The poles are normally pretty done for.
As long as we're trying to save whatever we're taking down.
Yeah.
Oh my God, good night. You have a stoplight?
Okay, let's stop by. Maybe crossing. All right. Any more questions regarding the consideration of light pole purchase? And I do like it, that. I don't work for support on that, but I do like the right one for standardized format. It's cheaper and it's easier to replace. I mean, the ornate ones are gorgeous, but they're difficult to.
These are still ornate, they're just not custom, right? So.
Exactly. So 41,593.75.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the $41, $593.75.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, number 3, Miss Owens. It's almost finished now.
Thank you. Before you this evening is a consideration of the ordinance 2025-09. This is annexing the Young's property. We started this process, several months ago, and, we have held off on the consideration so that it would align with E70, coming before you, so both items are married to this evening. The property owners did a tolling agreement, so that we could improve this. Their concern is they don't want to be annexed, that the zoning doesn't get approved and that, and so it's kind of what's taking a little bit of time on this one. But this is for consideration this evening, if there's any questions, happy to discuss.
Is it shows back March again? All right, March again, just okay.
You want to go like that? Sorry.
Sure. Do I have any questions on this? Move that just a little bit. Do you have questions? I had a motion on ordinance 2025 dash. There's a,
Make most of the ordinance 2025-09.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, additional discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Ms. Elton, you're up again.
Thank you. I'm here this evening on behalf of the planning commission to certify to you, the report from the commission. So, UD 2025-02 was initiated by Barbara Holmes. This petition has been a Lansing Woods neighborhood, located along I-74, goes to Buck Creek Road, County Road 700 West for 182 single family homes. Planning Commission held a public hearing for this amendment at their regular meeting on June 25th, 2025, and it's coming to you with a favorable recommendation by a vote of 6-0. You have a copy of the findings of fact, which do contain some conditions that the Planning Commission placed on that. The petitioner is here this evening and has a short presentation for you, and then Oksana and I are happy to answer any questions.
Good evening, thank you, Christine. Council members, my name is Sean Downey, Vice President with Barbara Holmes. For the record, our address is 9225 Harrison Park, Indianapolis, 46216. Appreciate the opportunity to present our project before you this evening. I handed out two items earlier. One is just a standalone site plan. To give you some context there, we'll walk through the slide deck here just to give you some more information. For those of you that aren't aware of Arbor Homes, we are a company started in 1994 here in Indianapolis. So we have been building homes for 31 years in the central Indiana market. As Christine noted, the next slide gives context of the site itself. The site is roughly 56 acres, tucked up against I-70, and bordered by Buck Creek Road and County Road 700. We feel our project meets the town's comp plan, meeting with mixed use. We also feel our site is less intensive than the Cumberland North project to the south of ours. The next slide gives context to our specifics for the site. As noted, the zoning proposed is PUD. Site consists of 182 homes. That would be a maximum number of homes we're proposing. It is broken down into two product types. The blue lots near the interstate, we're proposing 40-foot wide lots. That would be for our arrival product line. And then the yellow lots more toward the south off the interstate, kind of nestled against the Cumberland North project, would be 60-foot wide lots. And that will be our traditional Arbor Home line. That's the product that we have been building for 31 years. Connectivity for the site will come from connection to Buck Creek Road to the west, as well as a connection to the future County Road 200 extension that would separate our project and the project to the south. Of the 56 acres, we're showing 20 acres of common or open space for the development. So more than a third of the development is common area. Those common areas will include walking trails, sidewalks. We will have landscape buffers. We have a buffer proposed along I-70, as well as some other landscaping. With that, we are proposing to contribute to the park to the south, and that gives context to the next slide. We are going to connect our trails into the park design for this project to the south, and then our parking impact fees would go to help on various aspects of this park. The next few slides give context to the product we're proposing in the development. The next slide shows our traditional Arbor Home line that would go on a 60-foot for yellow lots. That line consists of 12 different floor plans. Each one of those floor plans have 5 different elevations, so different character aspects of those homes. This line consists of ranch and 2-story homes with square footage on those homes from 1,200 to 3,200 square feet. This product line also offers some additional options for the buyers. Those can include sunrooms on the back of homes, covered porches, third car garage options. And as I noted, this is a product we've successfully been building for 30 years. The next slide gives just some more rendering examples of that same Arbor Homes line, just showing some of the different elevations, some of the different materials and selections that buyers can make. The next slide, this is our arrival homes product line. So this would be the product we're proposing on the blue lots near the interstate. This product line has 5 different floor plans, and each one of those 5 floor plans has 5 different elevation options. This product line offers 2 as well as 3-story options on a couple of the floor plans. And the square footage on this one ranges from a little over 1,100 up to 1,900 square feet. The next slide is similar to the previous slide, just gives some more rendering considerations to different options the buyers can select with this arrival home line. One of the things we take pride in is we have a design center where all of our buyers can come. They will make appointments and be able to make selections on countertops and flooring, cabinets, exterior colors and materials, so we like to give our buyers that ability to come in and choose the, you know, how they want to spend their money, you know, there are different aspects, both interior and exterior within their home. And with that, I would like to say thank you and open it up to any comments or questions.
We add to, the findings of that for the commitments. And the council back of the commitments. I know Douglas is not on here. And we discussed that in the plan commission.
It's not part of the motion because it's not a zoning issue.
It wasn't. I mean,
It's
It's
a
because it's
building
not a
issue,
zoning
but it's not a zoning issue.
Sort of does require it.
Under the building code.
That's
It's not a zoning issue.
right, that's what I'm asking. So,
It would be required to construct, it's just not part of your zoning.
okay.
that's what I'm trying
That's
to.
fine, that's fine, as long as it's in the building code, that's. I can't imagine not having that much.
Mr. Young, I know this, PUD is great deal flexibility in what you do with it. I was kind of overlooking the map here. How many square feet of those lots on Blue Rose on the whole?
They can go down to 5,100, or no, sorry, 4,000 would be the minimum square foot. So 4,500 would be the minimum we could go to, so.
Okay.
Some of these will be a little deeper, like the ones backing up to the interstate, we do like, I think, a little more room there, but. Those are items we worked with staff and talked with them and, felt comfortable with the product we're proposing there, so.
Okay, we've got an issue at Dollar Farms, which happens to follow my district, and that is speed. And we're going through a quite expensive contract now to try to limit some of that without just straight away. I look at this design and I see a huge straightaway on this field. What do you have in mind as far as overcoming traffic to try to control that?
One of the things that we've been introducing in some of our other communities, I'm an engineer by trade, so I design something.
Tell us the presentation.
We do these calming islands, in strategic kind of crosswalk areas where it will bring the curb line in, almost like a little landscaping island. So it narrows the road to kind of deter slow people down, so.
And you'll be doing that on this project.
Yes, at this
That's what I mean.
level, yeah,
The renderings are sometimes tough to tell. I noticed you also, on two things, it was kind of. I don't know, loose is the word I'm looking for, but, on contribution to the park. And contribution to roadways that are impacted. Has there been a number worked out as to how much that will be that you'll be putting into the project?
So the park impact fee is, $12.50 per, dwelling unit.
Okay.
So each lot is $12.50.
So about 82.
Is what our, current, park impact fee is. And for the road improvements, I believe we can come up with.
I think we asked for up to 150,000 with some negotiation as we go through the dealings based off projecting what a road impact fee.
Is that over the life of the project?
Yes,
And I'm assuming you're gonna be doing this in phases.
Yes.
182 homes, I'm gonna guess somewhere around 4 phases probably.
It could be as little as 3. Right now, we're kind of in a 60 lot section, so 3, maybe 4.
Okay. What's your build that time on this 4 or 5 years? You're the engineer, I'm just asking.
We'd like to be breaking a section off each year. So, I mean, from a
3 to 4
3 standpoint, you know, this section 1, we can see starting construction in 2026, so you have 27, 28 for building the roads and, you know, all your infrastructure. The homes, yeah, probably getting closer to over 4, 5, but those would be quickly.
Okay. These questions are bad, well, you know, but I think we're pretty realistic in how long we're looking at.
Nope.
Because at the end of the day, we're looking at a tax base and how long this drags out. Right? From a council perspective.
Yep.
My fellow councilors have a question.
I don't have a question,
Maybe it was Apple.
Councilor Seeker asked that I read, his thoughts on this and the, next item on the agenda.
Sure.
It's very simple. You would ask the fellow councilors just consider and ensure that Lansing Woods would meet all requirements as kind of have gone through with the planning commission, maybe around that and that. And he's hoping for less density than the past couple approvals. So those were his 2 comments on this project.
And now realistic, this is pretty dense. But I also understand your ability to get some interstate to spread that out, increases your cost, return on net value, I get that, it's very difficult. The ability to far spread that, I understand the balance. Have you done other projects, I'm assuming this answer from the yes, that have built up against the interstates, I assume has some success.
We have projects where, you know, we're up against the interstate or, you know, against the utility corridor, you know, those types of things. So that's where we try and look at what is that price point that someone would be willing to pay and have kind of a, you know, not an ideal, you know, this isn't, I get estate lots, obviously, but you know, we talk about who would, you know, pay to, you know, live in a $700,000 home that's probably not gonna have high equity back.
Yeah, you know, what I'm just trying to put that actually, yes. No, I get it, it's a bit of a rhetorical question, I understand. Anybody else?
What? I'm gonna put it this one.
Well, I was gonna actually start off with an apology for. All right, I have no questions, this is an action item, I believe, according to industry versus the agenda here.
Yes, sir.
He reads on. That was also.
Make motion to accept ordinance 2025-13.
I will also. I have a motion and a second, any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that explanation. Thank you. Ms. Overture, a wrap up tonight.
Yes, I'll try to do this quickly since we're over the hour mark.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Uh,
It's big, it's false.
Always.
So before you this evening is consideration, contract from House Bill Levine to do a new comprehensive plan for the town of Cumberland. Our current comprehensive plan was adopted in 2011. So we're, well over 10 years. Generally about every 10 years is when we start to look at major updates to our plan. We have reviewed this plan every year. We've made a lot of updates to make sure we kept it relevant. But we're at a point in time where we are beginning to grow beyond Mount Comfort Road, which is kind of a boundary that was envisioned in our comprehensive plan, as well as with the changes with UNIGO, being able to plan for Marion County. We have an opportunity to do a new plan that really sets a good vision for us for the next 20 years. We received 4 proposals to do comprehensive plans with a variety of price ranges. We had 2 really good firms that I think the team felt confident in at the end of the day. The team that did the reviews has selected Russell Levine, they're out of Chicago. They have a subcontractor that's actually out of Indiana, that's an engineer. And they have won several awards for plans they do. Most recently, the Fort Wayne Comprehensive Plan. They use a lot of technical tools with GIS, Geographic Information Systems. They do some really unique outreach opportunities as part of their planning process. And in addition to the plan, we've selected and are recommending 2 add-ons. One is the interactive comprehensive plan, which would be on the map
so that residents could interface with the plan in a much more user-friendly version, without all the technical jargon, and that to make it user-friendly for the average citizen. And then also a corridor plan for County Road 200 north between Mount Comfort Road and County Road 400. This is an area that we see is probably the next kind of frontier beyond, 40 and Mount Comfort Road. And we think we have to have a really good infra up there, as we start to move forward. And so I'm recommending approval, of the contract with Pasco Levine. And then the amount of $183,880. That includes those two add-ons. The attorneys have reviewed the contract. The change that they requested has been made, and that's in the, what you see before you. With that, happy to answer any questions.
183, what, Christie?
183,880. And Ben has a question.
No, it's not bring it to the regular spot, there, George.
Councilor Seeker asked me to convey his concerns about the comp plan project. He says he agrees it is time for the task to be done, and he knows the chosen contractor has done fine work for other towns and cities, but the cost gives him caution. He says we are not the same as other clients they have. He always tries to weigh cost and value, although we are growing. He's not sure that we have gotten big enough to warrant this figure, just his take on it.
I can tell you, sitting on that group that evaluated, this was kind of a, I guess a mid-range price, actually, it wasn't the most expensive, it wasn't the cheapest.
Correct.
I was very happy with the product, they offered the value on what they wanted to share with us on information. So I thought the balance there for the mid-range and cost, almost if you were looking at the best cost strategy, I thought they actually finished at the upper tier compared to some of those that were 60.
And I,
You said, you know, yeah.
Brad.
That's staff's kind of recommendation and take it.
It's a balance.
Well, that, you're good on the size of the area, or just that small corridor. County, very involved.
It's very.
Very expensive.
And the RFP we put out is very expensive. We're really asking a lot of the consultant team with this plan to try to set us up for success as we move forward with a real focus on growth management and placemaking, so that we're maintaining who Cumberland is as we grow, as well as continuing to make sure that as we grow, we stay true to this. There's gonna be some really tough conversations about how much growth is too much or not enough and things like that. And so their data-driven approach, I think, will aid in that in a way that the businesses. So this is how we control our growth. We manage it, we don't manage our growth, I'm sorry.
What is the timeline on this?
It's a 12-month process.
12 months.
Yes. And I will tell you, we will have to update our zoning and subdivision control ordinances, not just because of a new comprehensive plan, but changes in UNIGO and everything else. We're gonna have to do a lot of work there. So, probably about 6 months into this, we want to be looking, starting to look at that, so that by January 1 and 27, we have everything in place.
I said that the interviews, I don't have any questions. Ed?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement. With the balance of, 183,880, is that correct?
Correct.
Not to exceed 183,880.
I'll say.
Got a motion and a second, additional discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That's confirmed.
Thank you so much.
All right, councilor comments. Mr. Lips, future agenda items.
You guys will have the introduction to an ordinance amending the employee handbook. We're gonna have our financial policy workshop coming up. Discussion on that, and hopefully to build some of those policies. We'll start talking about 2026 budget in a little bit more time. We want to bring in staff and engineers to do updates on both the stormwater master plan projects and the wastewater treatment plan projects. I want to talk legislation with you guys, just everything that went on last session, but also preparing for next session and things that I think we should consider. And we'll probably be working towards doing some legal training with that. So, not all those next meeting, just things on the horizon.
Certainly hope so. Anything else, council? I'll take a motion.
I'll move.
Yes, yeah.
Great job.